Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to walk you through one of the things that I actually get requested to make quite frequently, and that's my Moroccan style meatballs. So you're going to need quite a number of specific ingredients. So this isn't something that you're probably going to be able to recreate right now from your pantry, but what you will learn from this is just a good technique for making a nice soft meatball. I'll tell you in different spots where you can modify and just really make it your own, and you can still make use of this video even if you don't have all these ingredients. You can figure out your own style, maybe an Italian meatball, or maybe barbecue style meatball, whatever you might have at home. So all right, let's get started. I'm going to show you the ingredients and then we'll be on our way. All right.
So you're going to need 2 pounds of meat. I use half and half pork and beef, 1 pound of each. About a handful of breadcrumbs, the zest of 1 lemon, 1 tablespoon of harissa, which is a North African chili paste, about 2 tablespoons of bearber spice, 1 small to medium onion, nicely diced, very small, a tablespoon of chili flakes, about 3 tablespoons of whole milk, 1 egg, 2 tablespoons of butter, about 2 tablespoons of salt, and about 2 tablespoons of nicely minced chives. Get all of your mise en place, and let's get ready to go.
Alright, so now that we've gone through the ingredient list, let me just kind of walk you through a couple steps that we're going to do off the bat. So for any meatball, I kind of recommend sauteing down some really finely minced onion in butter. Part way, not fully cooked because you're going to cook the meatball, but having some nice partially cooked onions in any meatball is a good way to start. Breadcrumbs, we're going to soak in milk. Again, that's something that you can really incorporate into any meatball that you're going to be doing. So, alright, so those are just a couple of things that are more technique versus this specific recipe. So, that being said, the first thing I'm going to do is take the butter and get it actually almost to the brown point. So I'm going to heat it up, slowly at about medium until it starts to just take on a golden color. And at that point, I'm going to add the onions and turn the heat down to a low, medium low, and sweat the onions just gently for just about 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to take that out, and then I'm going to move on. So I'm going to get that going, and I'll show you what it looks like. And all right, let's keep going.
You can see what I mean by just lightly browned. Make sure to whisk and get all those bits off the bottom. So once your butter is brown, add the onions to your brown butter and allow them to sweat down for about a minute. At that point, add a pinch of salt and then let them cook for another 1.5 to 2 minutes. From that point, remove them from the heat, and then you're going to let them cool fully because you're going to add them into the meat and you don't want them to be hot at that point. And here you go, those nicely cooked down onions with that brown butter are going to be delicious.
Okay, so at this point, what we're going to do, now that our onions have had a chance to cool, we're going to start building this meatball mix. So I'm going to take that 2 tablespoons of milk and add it to the breadcrumbs. Alright. Actually, at this point, I'm going to put on some gloves. Because we're going to be handling this raw meat and it's just safer to do. So here we go, safety first. Alright, so the breadcrumbs are going to soak up literally all of that milk, so there won't be any left in the bowl, but the breadcrumbs themselves will be pretty saturated. So that's going to go into into the meatball mix. From there, we're going to add the onions. What's nice about that is that the 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons of butter that you use is only going to serve to make these meatballs all the more rich and just so nice. So to that, we're going to add about a teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes, not too much. We're going to add a tablespoon of harissa paste. They also sell it in powder form, that's fine. If you have the powder, maybe use half a tablespoon. A tablespoon of bearber powder. You can find that at some grocery stores. You might have a little trouble, but you can definitely find it online. To that, I'm going to add the chives, about a tablespoon, nicely chopped, a fine chop. Alright, that's in. I'm gonna add the egg. There's no point. I mean, you could stir it up a bit at this point, but I'm just gonna mix it in, you know, when I stir everything together. So, all right, I'm actually gonna take this glove off. And probably about, so this is 1.5 pounds of meat. That's just what, you know, that's how much there is. And my rule of thumb is about a tablespoon of salt for every pound of meat. So you could go a little light on that, and always make one meatball and test it, and then, you know, season if you're worried about it being too salty. So that's a good tip you can always use across the board. So, all right. To go back to something I was saying earlier about the spices and you probably not having all of these, that's totally fine. You know, if you have the bread and, you know, some kind of dairy to, you know, mix with the bread and an onion, you can really, and an egg, that's important too. You can really just add, you know, Italian herbs. You could add herbs de Provence. You could add chili seasoning would be really nice, and then you could use maybe like a barbecue sauce to kind of bake them in. That would be really good. So, you know, like, meatballs are super versatile. This is just the kind that, you know, I like to make. This is the kind that I'm asked to make a lot, so I really like them. So definitely, you know, go for this recipe if you happen to want to get those items. Otherwise, you know, meatballs are always great, any type of style. So, all right, I'm adding the zest of about half a lemon. I've already used half of it for another recipe, but there was enough left on there for what I'm doing here. Yeah, so, all right. Look at all them colors. All right, so to mix this, you want to be really, really gentle. You don't want to like really squeeze. A good technique that I have used for this is kind of make, I'm just breaking up the egg, is make kind of like a claw and go and turn and down and turn and kind of so forth. More of a mixing than a, you know, like a, it's more gentle this way. Sorry, words are escaping me. So you just mix it up. All right, I'm gonna mix this, and when I'm all set, I will show you what it looks like.
Here you go, take a look. You can see all the lemon zest and onions and chives in there. Here's just a different viewpoint. These are so flavorful and so good. So what I did is I gently rolled them into 9 golf ball size meatballs. You could make them half the size if you wanted. Say if you were making this with, you know, over rice or couscous or pasta, that way, you know, you could stretch it a little bit further. But if you do that, just remember the cooking time will be a little bit less. So what I've done is I've taken the meatballs out of the fridge, and in a medium heated pan, let this pan heat up for, you know, a minute or two. You want it to be a solid medium temperature. Put a little bit of oil in, not too much, and then start to brown your meatballs. I would put half in, let the pan recover in temperature, and then add the other half. They're probably going to take about 2 to 3 minutes per side, probably closer to 3, and you're going to want to flip them about 3 times. So you're going to put them down, that's 1, flip them 2, and then flip them a 3rd time. So about, you know, 9 minutes cooking. They're not going to be fully cooked all the way through. What we're going to do at this point is add the sauce. So if you're using Italian flavors, you know, you could add a marinara sauce. I'm doing Moroccan flavors, so I made a Moroccan tomato kind of coulis. That's what I'm going to put in here. If you were going with Southwestern flavors, you could do barbecue sauce, kind of anything really to advance the flavors and make this into a meal. So I'm going to go grab my sauce, add it in, let them simmer for about 2 minutes, and then pack them away for later use. Yeah, this right here is what we're looking for. So we're gonna let this simmer, you know, for about 2 to 3 minutes. The meatballs are mostly cooked. They do need a little bit more time. So, you know, check one before you know, take it off the heat. But I'd say they're probably about 70% cooked before the sauce went in. So, you know, 3-4 minutes maybe in the simmering sauce will be good. You don't want to overdo them because that'll make them dry and potentially tough. So, yeah. Let these go for a bit, add them to, you know, your favorite pasta, maybe a rice dish, couscous, anything on a piece of crostini would be good, by themselves, just, you know, whatever you have around the house. So, enjoy! Here's a bunch I made for a really fun event before the outbreak started. You know, hopefully we can get back to doing events after this all calms down. But for now, we're coming at you making these videos. Hopefully you're enjoying them. You know, take the time to try out some of these recipes. Definitely shoot us some suggestions in our comments. We'd love to hear what you have to say. We'd love to answer any food-related questions, maybe demonstrate some techniques or items you want to see done. But anyway, thanks for watching. Definitely subscribe to the links above, and be safe, be healthy, and please stay home.